I guess
Alright, do it. Look at the light.
it went away. Okay.
Okay, nice.
Welcome aboard Blue Moon. I'm Jillian, and this is Jonas. We live aboard our 1978 Catalina 30 sailboat. Join us while we explore the West Coast by land and sea, while living in our tiny floating home. If you enjoy these videos, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more content. Thanks for watching.
Hey everyone, welcome to another video. This video is going to be the second part in a small series we're doing about the costs of this lifestyle, the cost of living on a boat. And this video specifically is going to be about the cost of housing, so the ongoing costs of living on a sailboat here in British Columbia. And later in the video we're going to compare the cost of living on a boat to the cost of renting and living in a one-bedroom apartment in major Canadian cities. We're going to go over the monthly costs and discuss some of the sacrifices and benefits that come along with living on a sailboat.
So our overall price per month is $350 each. So as a unit, it costs us $700 per month to live how we are, where we are. So we're going to take you through a cost breakdown of our monthly housing expenses. The main expense is our mortgage fee or our rent. Our total monthly rent comes out to $493. So that includes our electricity, our water, and our mortgage fee, just for being able to tie up to the docks here. That cost is broken down by a few different parts. So as our main fee, we pay $8.99 per foot per month. We're lucky enough to be in the smallest, I want to say weight category, length category.
The larger the vessel, the more per foot you pay. So just as an example, boats between 30 feet and 45 feet would pay $10.20.
Yeah,
so,
and that just goes up as your boat gets longer, which kind of makes sense. The next part of that is our live aboard fee, and that is $117 a month. So that's just because we are living on the boat.
We're here every day, we live here,
Using
we're on the
facilities.
docks, we pay that fee.
That includes water, as well as our pump out. The other part of our rent goes towards electricity. So we're on a 30 amp shore power cable, and that's about $92 per month. And that just gives us all of our AC electricity. So that's the basic cost breakdown of the monthly rent that we pay. Next, we're gonna go through some of the additional monthly expenses which are included in our cost of housing.
The first category, we've called this amenities, and the two things in there is shower and laundry. This marina has a facility for tenants, I guess, for customers of the marina. And it's a little building, it's about a 5-minute walk away. It has 2 washers, 2 dryers, and then 4 individual bathrooms with showers. And all of these things are pay per use. We fill up a card, we put money onto it. The cost per shower is $2.50 for 5 minutes. So I like to spend the money and take 10-minute showers. Jillian likes to save the money and take 5-minute showers.
And the water.
And the
but
water.
We'll go over that a different time.
Right. So we figured out that our average cost per month for showers is about $90 a month. And you guys can figure out how often we shower. And for the laundry, it's $3 per
load. So $3 for a wash and $3 for a dry. That means we're paying $6 per full load of laundry. We don't have a lot of room to dry things on the boat, so we do use the dryers.
We definitely need a dryer. And so we do laundry about sometimes every 2 weeks, but we figured about 3 times a month. So
yeah, to give us
$18 a month.
We've also included a gym budget. Whoa.
We've also included a gym pass in our total cost of housing. The reason is because when the lockdown restrictions were a bit different, we were going to a gym, and the gym gave us a place where we could shower. And so because we could shower at the gym, we weren't using the showers here at the marina facility. So that's something to keep in mind. If you have access to a gym, then you probably won't have to pay for showers at the marina.
Which was really good because the gym you get even better bang for your buck because, well,
You get a place to shower and a place to exercise.
we would prefer a gym pass because not only do we get to a place to exercise, which can be difficult on the boat, but we also had free unlimited showers,
Yeah.
which was a huge help, and that essentially took away our cost for showers.
Yeah.
So that kind of like those go back and forth depending on. Hopefully we'll be able to get a gym pass in the future because we preferred that system, but just with things right now we decided to forego the gym.
The next cost that we've included in our total cost of housing, Jill and I went back and forth on whether we should include this, but it's something that you would include for the cost of living in a house, especially if you own the house. So we wanted to include it. And for larger vessels, this would be a much bigger deal. And that's the cost of depreciation. So I was doing some research, just sort of quick Googles. Take all of this with a grain of salt. I found that the average annual depreciation of sailboats is about 5%, especially for older vessels. So the curve gets fairly shallow. Boats stop losing their value really quickly once they're past a certain age. Like a vehicle, if you buy them new, the value drops off much more quickly. But for example, this boat is more than 40 years old. Year to year, the value doesn't change very, very much, especially if we're taking care of it. But there's always wear and tear, and so this is a cost that we wanted to consider. So in our last video, we discussed that the total purchase, the total cost of this vessel and all of the maintenance that's been done to it is around $13,000. So at 5% depreciation per year, that's a monthly cost of about $54. And we wanted to include that because your boat will take on wear and tear. It's not going to stay perfect, and it's something that you have to consider. Now, we can offset that depreciation by doing maintenance, by keeping it clean.
It is just something to consider at the end of the day. If you decide to sell your boat, you may not get what you paid for it.
Yeah.
You may get more or you may get less.
Yeah.
Just the way she goes.
Yeah. The next cost that we wanted to include in the cost of housing is similar to depreciation, but it is maintenance costs.
Maintenance is an ongoing expense that includes changing your zincs, oil changes, things that get broken, replacing hardware
wear out.
and parts, wear and tear on the boat, replacing lines, paint, bottom paint. We just decided to go with $54, so the same number that we used for appreciation. Not appreciation, depreciation. Although I think she's appreciated over time. I don't. We just used it as a number.
Well, let me defend it. Maintenance costs obviously aren't paid per month. We just wanted to try and give an estimate of how much it may cost you. Most maintenance expenses are going to be paid in lump sum whenever you're doing it. So if you're having the boat hauled out, or if you're changing parts or changing zincs. Yeah. But over time, especially if you're working on a budget, it makes sense to sort of spread the cost. We wanted to make sure that was included because things do wear out. We actually got a really interesting piece of information from one of our neighbors, and he was telling me that, I guess because of all the, I'm not sure what you call it, but because of all the electrical...
Electrolysis?
Yeah, maybe electrolysis. I'm not sure. Or electrification or something. We should have looked it up. But basically, because there's so much electrical current around and all the boats are plugged in and stuff, your zincs wear out a lot faster.
Yeah, so this is a really rough number. I think it really depends on the year. It depends on your boat. It's really hard to estimate, but just always knowing that you will have maintenance throughout the year that will add up. And to put aside monthly amounts of money so you have the money to do that maintenance. Things like oil changes and replacing your zincs are a cost that you know is going to happen on a yearly basis, if not more. But there are other things that you just can't expect, like certain parts of your boat breaking that you wouldn't expect them to break. So that's where that came from.
So there it is, roughly $700 per month. So divided by 2, that's about $350 Canadian per month per person. I think Jill and I were both surprised at how affordable this could be. We've lived in cities in British Columbia, in sort of southern British Columbia, for quite a few years now, and are used to paying a lot more money per month for our housing. So I wanted to do a comparison, and I looked up some numbers and found that the average cost of a one-bedroom apartment in southern British Columbia is about $1,600 per month. So for us, that would end up being $800 per month per person. And those costs get even higher if you need to be downtown in a city. So for example, I couldn't even really find numbers for downtown Vancouver, for example, because the prices of housing at the center of big cities around here has just skyrocketed.
And that doesn't even include utilities, which are also higher in cities.
Yeah, it's been a very pleasant surprise to us that moving on a sailboat has actually been very affordable, much more affordable than renting a room in a house in this city like we used to. And we're really happy about that because it gives people with lower incomes potentially an opportunity to try out this lifestyle. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that the bigger your vessel, the more money you pay, and those costs go up like crazy. If you're trying to store a 40, 50, 60 foot vessel with a bunch of cabins and you're using 50 amps or 100 amps, your costs are going to be way higher. For a small boat like this, the costs are very manageable. And just as an example, I work downtown. Being close to the city, I'm able to walk to my job. It's about a half an hour walk or a 10-minute bike ride, and I can walk home. If we were going to try and rent an apartment that we could afford, that apartment would probably be quite a bit further from the downtown center, and I would probably have to drive into my work, so that's an additional cost, and the commute would be longer and stuff. So on top of reducing the cost of housing, we also are able to save money because we don't have to drive nearly as much. We can walk to the grocery store and the gym and to work, and everything is a lot closer. We don't have a lot of experience in different marinas, but I would expect that most marinas are in a fairly central location and could put you close to things like grocery stores, restaurants, and that could help you drive less and be able to get around more just on your feet and on a bicycle. So with that comparison in mind, I did a little calculation just for fun. If you use an average rent price of $1,600 per month, then this vessel would actually be paid off in about 15 months. So the way I did that is I subtracted our cost of housing here from the average cost of rent. That would result in about $900 in savings per month. And so it would take, just under 15 months to cover the purchase cost and the maintenance cost of the vessel.
So now that we've broken down our living costs for you, we also wanted to discuss some of the non-monetary costs that we pay to live this way.
You might call them like sacrifices.
Lots of these have to do with the comforts of home, like your classic, that's it. Yeah. So being in a dry place, being in a place that can be warmed adequately or cooled adequately.
Yeah, where you don't have to worry about the weather or leaks or waves under you or animals. And, well, we don't have too many animals.
No, just birds and otters.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know this for sure, but I can imagine houses have less maintenance requirements. For example, although you need to cut your grass, maybe, you don't have to change the oil in your house. So maybe they're just like little maintenance trade-offs, but I feel as though that there's more maintenance needed when living on a boat compared to living in a house.
I guess it should be said that, yes, the cost of living in a vessel this size here is much cheaper than renting a one-bedroom apartment, but we obviously don't get everything that you would get by renting a one-bedroom apartment. Like we share our shower facilities with other tenants, so they're not always available. Same thing with the laundry.
Not to mention we have to walk outside. You know, it's probably about a 5-minute walk to get there.
Yeah, so things like that. We obviously have a smaller space. We can't store as much stuff.
The other thing we sacrifice is everything being on demand. When you're living on a house, you typically have... When you're living on a house, that's funny. When you're living in a house, you typically have water on demand, electricity on demand. Also, you have much better access to Wi-Fi, and that isn't necessarily a deal breaker, but for me, who relies on good internet connection for school and any work that I'm doing, it can be much more of a challenge.
It's definitely caused a few problems.
It's caused a few problems.
Wi-Fi is provided by the marina, but because of our distance, I think, from the rotor, it's not very stable. So one of the ways that we've tried to help with that problem is just increase the amount of data that we have on our cell phone plans. So depending on your lifestyle, it may not be possible. Yeah. And certainly, like if you have a larger family, 2 people is about the max I think that would fit on this.
Yeah, we're
vessel.
pushing it.
Yeah. So we don't want to give the impression that we think we're getting everything you would get in an apartment.
You give up a lot of things, but you also gain a lot of things, or at least we gain a lot of things.
Depending on what you like to do and how you like to live.
And I also want to make it clear that we're not living this way to save money. It's a really happy consequence, but we're living this way because we find a lot of value in living in small spaces. We use less resources, and we have a much smaller footprint on this planet than we would be if we were living in a house like we had in the past.
And we found that we didn't need much more space than this. We've had to downsize for sure, and there's occasionally times where we wish we had an item that we don't have here, but for the most part, this is the right amount of space for us.
Yeah.
And so it's great. We don't have there's no wasted space. We don't have to worry about cleaning a large area or maintaining a larger space, because this is everything we need.
Yeah, and it allows us to be a lot more conscious of what we use. So we know exactly how much water we go through in a week because we put that water in our vessel.
Yeah.
And once we're out, we know we've used all of that water. Same with electricity. We know at our very max, we're using no more than 30 amps of electricity. I don't really know how that calculates out, but I know it's a lot less than a house because we have to selectively choose what we're turning on and what electricity we're using.
Yeah, and if we use more, then we blow the...
It's lights out.
It's lights out. The last thing we want to say is that we recognize not everybody has the opportunity to move on to a boat, and we would definitely not recommend it as a way to save money.
Yeah.
We were lucky because Jillian found this vessel and was able to acquire it for quite a good price, and was able to contribute her time and labor to get it to a place where we could live on it.
When I was looking for boats during the summer, my intention was not to save money. My intention was to live on a sailboat, which I had wanted to do for years.
So we hope that this video has answered some questions about how much it costs us to live this way. These are just our numbers, and they're going to vary a lot based on your region, based on how big your boat is. And I feel like it would be safe to assume that there's always going to be unexpected costs. My brother told me a funny acronym, which is that BOAT stands for bring on another 1,000, as in you should always be ready to spend another $1,000. And I'm sure we'll experience that going forward, but we've been pleasantly surprised about the affordability of this lifestyle. We're excited about this because we think other people might be able to take advantage of some of the more affordable aspects of this, and that's great because it just makes boating and sailing accessible for more people.
But we want to make it clear that we're not recommending that people buy a boat to save money, because it takes a lot of effort.
And luck, probably.
Yeah, a little bit of luck. And also, it's not for everyone. Like, you are paying costs and sacrifices to live this way. I would say if money is your only motive, it might not be the best decision.
There's probably better.
Like,
there's probably better ways to save money.
Yeah, just let that be a nice consequence of this.
We just wanted to say that we consider ourselves very lucky to be able to live like this and to have the opportunities to be here. So thank you so much to everyone who's helped us with that. And again, we were on a waiting list for this space, so we were lucky just to get in.
It's not always an easy process, especially when living aboard. I looked at multiple marinas, and many don't allow live-aboards.
Probably most.
So that's another factor. It's not easy necessarily to get a spot depending on where you are. So we definitely lucked out in that aspect. And yeah, if we were on a waiting list and if we didn't get in, I don't know what we would have done. So.
Yeah, we'd probably be on an anchor somewhere bouncing around in the wind.
Yeah, and things would have just been
given it up a long time.
A lot more difficult.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had all our bets placed on this one.
It was a big bet.
It was a big bet.
Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you've enjoyed it and that it answered some questions. We've received quite a few questions about how much things cost.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.